Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Coming up this week, we're going to tell you what you need to know to make an offer on a resale contract on this week's episode of the DVC Show. The DVC Show is brought to you by DVCstore.com. You can save thousands of dollars by purchasing your DVC contract with DVCstore.com. Let their resale experts help welcome you home. And by DisBoards.com. If you want to learn everything you'll ever need to know about Disney Vacation Club, visit the DVC forums on disboards.com and join in the conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show, coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friends, Miss Jackie Gailey.
Hi, guys.
From the DVC store, Mr. Jerry Saito.
Hello, how are you?
Joining us via Skype, Mr. Pete Shidley.
Hi there.
And back on the controls, our associate producer, Mr. Corey Fiasconaro.
Hey, guys.
And welcome, folks. Hope your week is off to a good start. Just a couple things in housekeeping before we get to our topic. Be sure to go check out our blog at dvcfan.com. We've got blogs going up around 4 times a week right now. I'm still trying to figure out what my release schedule is and stuff like that. We've also got the DVC store has blogs going up 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right now. So be sure to go check that out. Also want to remind everybody to sign up for the DVC store's mailing list. They are giving a $50 Disney gift card at random to people who someone who signs up for their mailer each month. You'll get an email 3 times a week with all the latest listings and all that other stuff. It is must-see email if you're even remotely interested in buying or adding on. I think it's like even worse for us that are looking to add on. We see those come in. We get those juicy contracts. And also, of course, head over on Facebook to the DVC Fan Facebook group and just do a search on that. Answer 3 simple questions, and you can join the ever-growing membership on DVC Fan on the DVC Fan Facebook group. Okay, so one of the things that was a surprise to me, of course, I wish I'd known this on my first 2 contracts, was that you can make an offer on these resale contracts. Like, so they'll be put up on your site, for example, and let's say it's, Boardwalk 200 points for $125 a point. You can go ahead and counter offer on that if you want. You can go ahead and say, I'm going to offer you 115 or 120. And then Jerry would go to whoever the agent is, the associate would go and check with the person who listed it, see if they're interested. And so that was really cool. I didn't realize you could do that. But Jerry talks about some of the pitfalls of making those offers.
Well, I think the biggest pitfall could be right of first refusal. Some people, they don't know that Disney can buy it back, and they come in with an offer that's too low, and the agent will tell you or give you upfront notice, hey.
If the agent knows what they're doing.
Right. They should give you upfront advice. But anyway, if you offer too low, Disney can come in. So that's probably the biggest pitfall. Obviously, some sellers, they're not negotiable, so they might not accept an offer. And then, I think just working with the agent, talking to them, making sure you're comfortable with whatever the offer is, and they're going to advise you of what they think would be a good enough number to get through the seller, get through Disney, and you have a successful closing. So I think our right of first refusal is probably the biggest scare.
And, right now, there's no rhyme or reason to what's going to pass right of first refusal. But, some things that we generally do know, for example, Aulani contracts. Aulani is still actively being sold, and it looks like they're not buying anything back on a resort that's actively being sold. So I have heard stories of people that have made really aggressive offers on Aulani contracts that have gotten, where the seller accepted it and it did pass right of first refusal. So that is one place where you might be able to do a little bit.
Right. Yeah, you could present any offer you'd like. I mean, the agent shouldn't stand in your way to present whatever number you're comfortable with. If you wanted to try an aggressive offer, you can, But, in the end, you might be disappointed either by the seller not accepting or by Disney taking it back. But Alani's, they do tend to get through. Disney's still selling Alani, maybe not as their first resort, but they have inventory. So when they have inventory, they don't typically buy back that location. So you can get it for a good price as long as the seller is willing to accept it. But, if you are presenting an offer, sellers are educated. Like, we tell sellers when they list a property what to expect. If you have a Bay Lake property, it should sell within this range. So if you get offers within, this range, that's reasonable for the market, and you should consider that as a good offer. But, sellers are educated. So just be aware, if you come in low, unless you're lucky and the seller's willing to accept it and Disney's not going to buy it back, chances are seller might not accept an aggressive offer because they know what the market's going to be.
What would you say right now the best bang for buck is? Like, what type of contract, which resort?
So that's a great question because I get that all the time. I think Saratoga Springs is the best value for the Disney Vacation Club.
Agreed.
But, it really depends on booking window. If you're going to book more than 7 months in advance, I'd really recommend buying your favorite property. And that way you have what you want. You have the 11-month window, and you can use it at 7 months anywhere else. But if you want the best value, best bang for your buck, Saratoga, low maintenance fees, extended time compared to some of the others, and price per point. It's a good deal compared to some of the other resorts.
Now, right now, and again, this changes frequently, but right now, as of when we're recording this in June of 2019, because who knows how far in advance somebody's gonna be watching this. It looks like anything under $100 a point is getting taken at Saratoga.
Correct, yeah. I recommend to my clients, really to give yourself the best chance. Currently, it's $103 a point and up. If you're under 103, it's a little iffy. 100 or below is pretty much a guarantee. But again, there's some curveballs Disney throws us that we don't always know what they're going to do. Like a foreign seller, for example, could get through under 100 per point. If there's a bankruptcy or a foreclosure or something that Disney doesn't want to touch, that might get through. But that's
it's not a quick, clean closing.
Right, basically. Exactly. Yep.
And of course, I had a boardwalk just get taken, and it had no maintenance fees due on it until next year. Disney likes those too.
Right. Mm-hmm. They can load those back up. So
yeah. So So these are the factors too. Like, people who are making these lowball offers on these, prime contracts loaded with points,
and prepaid dues.
And
wow.
So, but they make these really crazy lowball offers. I'm like, why are you wasting everybody's time?
Right.
Yeah.
I heard somebody, I don't know if it was on the boards or on Facebook, say that they offered like $100 a point for a Bay Lake Tower, or were upset that it didn't get accepted. Of course it's not going to be accepted.
Right.
Unless you're like blackmailing the seller. And even then, Disney's going to buy it back. Yeah. See, that's what Pete does. Pete does blackmail sellers to sell him cheap contracts. What's your take? What's your take on it in terms of like best value for?
I'll admit that I didn't know when I bought my first resale contract. I bought both my contracts to the DVC store, and my first contract I didn't even know about that you could make a lower offer. So, now it sounds ridiculous. Anyways, 5 years ago I bought $76 a point in Animal Kingdom. So,
jeez.
Today no one's complaining about that, right? But then for the second contract, we bought at a small contract at Boardwalk, and the representative at the DVC store, even now it still sounds cheap again. It was $105 a point. This was only 2 years ago, but that was about normal at that time. And I talked to the representative from the DVC store, and he said, well, that's a small contract. Small contracts you really have to watch out for because there's a lot of demand for those. And if you try to lowball it, a lot of times the seller's not going to accept it. It isn't so much about the Disney taking it, but the seller isn't really going to be looking for something like that. They're going to want to give it a chance. And in the end, I decided, well, what am I talking about with a small contract? I'm talking about, a few $100s. So in the end, I ended up just putting the offer in for what the seller wanted it. But I agree. I mean, I think you got to look at what is the going rate, because you do see, Jerry, I go on your site all the time, and looking at you see a lot of variability in the seller's prices, right? I mean, it's not like you have a standard price that you sell any resort for. So I think you got to look at what the resorts are going for. There's a good thread on the DIS boards that shows every quarter they set it up, and it shows what contracts were taken and what contracts were accepted, and so you can kind of look at what the price range is that the contracts currently are going for, and it's a real good opportunity that you can look on there and say, okay, if I offer this, I got a pretty good chance of it being accepted versus if I lowball. Because I agree with what you're saying. If you lowball it, it's just going to get taken by Disney, and 80% of the time.
I think one of the things people will do, like I'm looking at some of the listings you have on the site right now. So you have two, like I'm looking at two Saratoga Springs listings right now. One is 50 points. One is 300 points. The 300 pointer is going for $107 a point. It's got a lot of points. It's a 150 point contract and a 50 point contract. The 150 has 300 points on it. So that's a prime. That's a really nice, juicy one. Mm-hmm. And that's going at 107, where that 50 point one is going for 125. And so people think, oh, you know what? I'm going to make that $107 offer on that 50 point one. And then they wonder why it doesn't get accepted. Because, as Pete was just saying, those small contracts, they're gone like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get 10 backup interest buyers on it. So that property will sell within the first 24 hours of listing, and then 10 to 15 other people will call and say, I want that listing, and there's 10 other buyers for that property. Now, granted, the first person gets it, but if something happens and we have to put the property back on the market, we're contacting those 10 other buyers. So the demand for small ones is tremendous, and they sell very quickly. So if you do want a small one, an add-on, if you will, then it's sometimes best just to buy it at list price, because if you don't, somebody else will, and it's going to go very fast.
Yeah, it's nuts how fast. Because
that's what I ended up doing. I saw that, and that was a case where I was getting your emails, and I saw that contract on there. I was looking for a boardwalk contract in that range, 50 to 75 points, and it was 75 points, and it was just it wasn't a bad price, but it was higher than larger contracts are at the time. And I just in the end said to myself, it's a small contract that's going to go. You really can't lowball those small contracts because there's so much demand for them.
Right. Yeah, they're not going to last. You have a link under your buy DVC on the DVC store website. That's a small point contract.
Right. Yeah.
So. Yeah. And, if I look at those, like virtually all of them right now are sale pending.
Yeah.
I can't bring it up on this for some reason, but it's nuts. Those small point contracts go like crazy. Yeah. And that's why when you see them, know what you're looking for, and you see them, buy them.
Yeah, and calling the office is going to get you the best service right away. If you do see a listing, let's say you got the email update, and you're like, oh, that's the perfect add-on, or that's the perfect small contract that I want to purchase, call the office. It's the best way to get that property secure, as opposed to sending an email. Sometimes emails, there's back and forth correspondence. Sometimes there's a slight delay between a response. So if you want a listing, calling is the best option, because you don't...
Tell them the number.
It's 1-800-550-6493. But it's the best way to secure a listing.
Let me ask Jerry, if you're someone out there that wants a specific contract, I want a Bay Lake Tower 100-point contract with a December use year. Is that something that they can contact you and say, this is what I'm looking for, and you put them on a list? Or is it really you just have to keep an eye out for it?
That is such a great question, and something that we would love to be able to contact you right away. But right now, the email update's the best option we have. And as an agent, I mark off what my clients are looking for. So I make a call list, but I'm not always there. Listings will post, we're open 12 hours a day. So they'll post in the morning and I come in the afternoon, or they'll post at night and I leave in the afternoon. So it's hard to know. Yeah, well, it's hard to contact clients all the time because they're not all. I'm not always there, but the email updates do have them. The website's always going to have them, and we're trying to figure out a system.
And also, they get listed on the DVC store Facebook page.
Right.
They as soon as they come in, they get listed usually within a few hours on there. And since you're an official sponsor of us, what we've started doing, what we're going to start doing, is some of these really like juicy contracts. We're going to give folks on DVC fan Facebook group a heads up.
Oh, nice.
That, hey, nice contracts coming. But yeah, that's our discussion on. Oh, you want?
I do have one thing to add, and if you wanted to make an offer or purchase a property, it's very simple. Again, all you do is call. You can send an email, but what we need is, if you want to make an offer, we need to know what you want to offer, your names that you'd want on the title, your mailing address, phone number, and email. Once we have that, we're moving forward with helping you with the offer or putting that contract together. I mean, we'll go over details and questions, but making an offer is very simple, so it's not a complicated process.
Yeah, you can also text Jerry. Like I do. I want that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, I see people post and they're like, oh, I don't want to do resale because it's too complicated. I mean, I've done 2 resale purchases, and there's very, very little that you have to do as the purchaser.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, there's some documents you got to put your address on and your phone number, and you got to sign them and send them in. But I mean, if I spent 2 hours of effort on my resale contracts, it was probably a lot. It was very easy. The guys at the store were very helpful and did most of the work. It's really very little that you have to do as a customer.
Filling out.
I'm sounding like I'm working for the store, which I'm not.
We try to make it easy for you.
I've done several resales with you, and I've also bought direct from Disney. It is a lot more convenient and a lot quicker.
Yeah. I just for fun pulled up from when we bought, and there's seriously 2 emails because there's one with the paperwork that that Peter was just saying you have to sign. And then the second one is from the title company, and we had to print off something and sign it, and back it goes.
I've had
done.
To do that. You send me everything. As soon as I say I want it, I get a packet in email.
Yeah.
And I go ahead, I fill it out, I sign it, I email it back to you.
Done.
And okay.
Process starts, yeah.
And the process starts. So really, that's my problem. Is the whole process is
easy.
way too easy.
It is.
It is way too easy. So
yeah, the only bad part is that stress of the right of first refusal, waiting to see if you're going to actually get your contract or not.
Yeah.
Well, it's that because I'm going through that right now. Again. It's I guess it's kind of like having a kid. The first one's nerve-wracking. The second and third one, like, okay, I know this process now.
Got this.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of was the same thing. Like the second time was like, you know what? If it doesn't go through, then there's always other contracts.
Well, that's it. Is I have my backup contracts. I have my my B plan and my C plan. That if I don't get this one, okay, I think I'm going to try and go for this one. But then again, because it's a 30-day window, by the time you find out if it's been taken, your B plan may be taken, so or may be sold already. So then that's why I have to have a C and a D plan because
and that's getting back to the original topic of the conversation. We're talking about the pricing or what you offer for a resale contract. I think that feeds into it. Is how perfect is it for you? Is it exactly the points you want? Is it exactly the use year you want? If it's a perfect fit, then maybe you're going to want to offer a little bit more for that contract. If it's maybe not exactly what you want, hey, then maybe you see if you can get it for $5 less.
Right.
And and then if it falls through, then hey, you keep looking.
And
it's not like there's one contract.
Yeah, the most successful offers usually do fall within like a $1 to $5 range. So if something's listed at $125, you come in at $120. Usually, it's going to get accepted, maybe countered. But the point is, within a small range, if you come in $20 a point, $10 a point, it's not typically going to work out. And another thing, we get a lot of questions on financing. Do I need to have my financing in order to make an offer? And the answer is no. You can still make an offer. You can secure the property and then work on financing after your offer is accepted. Or if you buy a property, you can do the financing after. So you don't have to do it prior to.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because I've made sure that with whichever ones I'm going to finance, that I've had that lined up first.
You don't have to do that.
You know, so okay. Well, thanks for making it even worse for me.
Yeah, really. Here you go. It's even
you know.
easier now.
So, all right, that, folks, is going to do it for this episode of our show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with you again next week with another episode of the DVC Show. Have a great week, folks.